So, I admittedly spent way too long on that opening gag, but that's okay because it looks similar in quality to Hunt Down the Freeman's opening cinematic, so it's fine. And Hunt Down the Freeman really wants to convince you from the onset that this game is going to be the coolest shit ever. It's going to be intense, dramatic, and it's going to feel way too much like a TikTok. Oh my god, he's so cool. And then the game starts and you have to walk backwards to pick up your knife. Yeah, this is going to be one of those games. Welcome to Hunt Down the Freeman.
This is Sergeant Mitchell. Do you copy?
And yeah, we all know this game is bad. It has been dragged across YouTube, Reddit, and probably even Tumblr, and I doubt the years since release have helped the dev team recover it all mentally. This game was shat on when it was released, and for good reason. It was, and pretty much still is, shit. It promised way too much and underdelivered on everything. Plus, there was just plenty of backlash surrounding the release of the game. From possible bots used to push the game through the greenlight system, possible stolen assets, the game had controversy straight out of the gate and got plenty of bad press because of it. And as you and I are about to discover, or perhaps rediscover, it was all warranted. I think the best place to begin with is graphics and styling, because this is basically a Half-Life 2 mod. It just costs 15 or so Australian dollars. The game, for the very most part, is very standard Source Engine affair. It looks like Half-Life 2. Lighting is decent, there's dynamic shadows, reflections in the water, all that jazz. It's really basic compared to newer games, and even somewhat basic compared to newer Source Engine mods. So it's disappointing. It was billed as this thing that was going to push the Source Engine to its very limits, but it just kind of nudges it every now and then. The thing is that's the most different in terms of visuals are the game's unique models and the overall visual styling and tone. Because this game takes place in its own little pocket dimension of Half-Life lore. They made their own models for some enemies, they have new weapons, they have new models for buildings. And to be honest, the new stuff is fine. It fits decently with everything else until they start to assemble entire levels or locations using their own models, because it's very obvious that the person who was in charge of making levels look good doesn't understand the basics of texturing or of scene composition. And again, if this was a mod, this would be fine, because it was free, it wouldn't cost money. But because it costs money, I can criticize it as much as I fucking want, frankly. And to highlight this, I want to look at the first level, the proverbial money shot of Hunt Down the Freeman. I want to focus on the visuals because I think you all notice it before I even highlight it. So, do you see it? No? Yeah? Okay, well, regardless of that, it's the reflections on the floor, it's the glass in that broken window, it's the scale of this massive room. It all comes down to direction. Why are the floors so fucking shiny? You just turn down their metallic property and boom, it's not as shiny. It's something that is so easy to fix, but they just didn't bother. And this will be a running theme in this video, a lack of attention or care. So what about the glass in that window? Well, I personally don't know how to fix it. I have never used the hammer editor. I don't know how, the hammer editor communicates texture, materials and whatnot to you. But considering it doesn't happen in the base game, or in most of the source mods I've played, it can be fixed, and that just means they didn't bother. And the scale of the rooms? Well, that's just shitty design. No map editor is going to have a tool that fixes that for you. That's just direction. Every room just feels too big. It feels like the staff at Black Mesa have been huffing some fucking plant hormones or something. It's poorly designed and poorly executed. And this is the first level. It's the money shot. It's meant to showcase the strengths of your artists. But this is the best looking level in the game. I know, right? You weren't expecting that. This is the best looking level. So let's change gears and let's look at the worst offender now. Just for context. This is a level in a game that costs money. And it looks this bad. It has obvious fucking seams between each plane. It's so fucking bad. Why isn't there grass, or trees, or rocks, or fucking anything, frankly? It's just so empty, and it's not like it's difficult to add them, it's really easy. They're already heavily relying on using assets from Left 4 Dead 2 for any map set in a city, or just straight up stealing the City 17 map from Half-Life 2. So why not steal some grass? Just add some fucking grass and the scene will look so much better. So that was the best looking level and the worst looking level. So that means that the rest of the game falls between those two, which is not a great look at all. The game's locales basically just flip-flop between a large open room with nothing in it to a small enclosed area, but albeit still large compared to Half-Life 2. And they're always just set in some fucking factory somewhere. And to be fair, that doesn't mean the game can't be good looking, because it can be, but it's mostly a shitfest of shit for the large majority of the duration of the experience. And I think that's all I can really say about graphics for now. It'll pop up eventually in the rest of the discussion, but let's change gears again to gameplay. And I guess just the general experience of this game, because it's an experience. This game is plagued by weird decisions, weird pacing, weird dialogue.
You fucked up my face.
Weird direction, and even strange music. It's not enjoyable in the slightest. It's fun to point out mistakes and take the piss during the first few levels, but this game keeps going and going and going until it just fucking stops abruptly. Weirdly enough, just as I was getting invested in the narrative. But in terms of the gameplay, the minute to minute, it's a Half-Life game, albeit without Half-Life 2's physics puzzle or its clever combat scenarios. This game is a shooting gallery in different locations with some vehicle sequences sprinkled in to add a salty flavour. But the real problems just kind of come from this, like, the main guiding philosophy of Hunt Down the Freeman, which seems to be confusing the player as much as possible. An interesting idea to boost player engagement, to be sure. A novel one at that. But I'm not joking. This game is so confusing to navigate. Even that first level has some weird layouts and misdirections. And, well, let's just jump right into the fucking game, because you need a blow-by-blow of this entire game, because I think I've made this game sound better than it actually is, because you need context and you need to experience it as it happens. So let's take a look. Hunt Down the Freeman's problems literally start from the moment you boot up the game. It's clear this is going to be a game about egos. Sad music and an animated scarred up man mock the player even before you launch the game. And then you get the aforementioned cinematic intro, which is, laughably bad. And then you have to walk backwards to get a knife. That we all know. But what happens next? Well, we fight some headcrab zombies and get our first taste of the reportedly new and improved combat system and the weapons, of course. And well, I gotta be honest here, I actually kind of admire the idea behind it, going for a more tactical-ish feeling to the shooting, but why does it take 7 bullets to the head to kill a zombie? And why does the headcrab survive these headshots? Shouldn't the headshot be hurting the headcrab? Not the zombie? It's just such a weird thing. I can't fathom how they fucked this up, considering Half-Life 2 gets it right. And I'd assume they're just using the exact same code and probably the exact same zombie animations and whatnot from Half-Life 2, so I don't really understand that. But we kill them all. We head on through this this closing door gate thing. And whoa, where did we get the SMG from? There wasn't even an SMG on the floor. Did we just materialize it? Is Mitchell that fucking mega brain? And by examining the footage, there is actually a shadow of an SMG on the floor. I actually think the SMG is below the ground and you manage to just clip through the ground enough to pick it up. Fucking brilliant, if you ask me. And the SMG highlights one of this game's biggest technical problems. The SMG lets us see where all the frame rate goes, because these scopes are actually magnifying the view model and whatnot, which is, cool and all. But if you ever played any game at all, you know that this results in a massive performance problem. Like, massive. And if no setting to disable this or turn down the resolution within the scope, you won't be running this at a smooth frame rate. Especially when you realise that the map designer thought that quality meant spamming small props everywhere and heading off to lunch. I normally would, go on about a little passionate discussion about how I love the amount of detail here. But it just feels like it's full of random shit. Why couldn't they fill it up with ammo? I really needed ammo. A single clip of SMG ammo is not enough to take out more than 2 zombies. Even if you hit everything square in the head, it's a joke. And the rest of this level is just varying degrees of zombies and shooting until we hit another cutscene. And this cutscene, well, it's golden. It's fucking brilliant. So, I'll set the scene. We enter this large control room full of dead HECU soldiers. They're everywhere. There's blood everywhere. We go to enter a door and, well, Gordon Freeman just comes in and fucking destroys us.
Whoever it takes, however long it takes before I die, I will fucking kill you.
Wow, that's a line to say to someone who's, we all know is willing to gun down entire companies of soldiers with no hesitation. And it is just another example of Mitchell being a self-insert character for a writer. Mitchell really is the cool guy at a party who chain smokes and fucks all the chicks. And I'm willing to bet that Mitchell was a self-insert for the game's director. I'm actually willing to bet hundreds of dollars on it. It just stinks of a 14-year-old's, Half-Life fan fiction. It's terrible. He even shares a name with opposing forces protagonist. And we then pass out. But then G-Man shows up and monologues at us. We're dying in a fucking gurney and G-Man shows up. Again, fanfiction.
Sergeant Mitchell in the flesh. Or rather, his remains. I do have to admit, I'm impressed that you made it back, alive from Black Mesa.
And the voice actor for G-Man's honestly pretty good. It's close enough to the original that I don't really question it, but what the fuck is up with these S sounds? He sounds like a snake being forced to monologue.
Even if it wasn't our intention to begin with, yet you are still here. You should have just died there, but here you are. You've proven yourself a man of rare conviction. But even this does not impress me as much as the words you speak.
And I don't remember this being a G-Man character's trait, but he actively makes fun of Mitchell's line a few moments ago.
Whatever it takes, whoever it takes, however long it takes, before I die, I will kill you. Is that right? Well, you see, Mr. Mitchell, we cannot let you kill Dr. Freeman yet. They authorize me to offer you a deal. You will be rewarded with authority, power, and time. The only payment we ask when the time comes. Keep your promise, Mr. Mitchell. In the meantime, this is where I get off.
The general gist of the conversation is he's going to give you power, authority, and time in exchange for you killing Gordon when the time comes.
Shit. I'm losing too much blood. I need to patch myself up.
And suddenly we're standing up, we need to patch ourselves up. We leave the room, see a medkit.
Hey! Wait! I need that med kit, buddy!
But now some random firefighter, I think, decides to grab and run off. The music swells, and now we're in a chase sequence. We walk after him for a couple minutes, the music pumping in our ears, and he ends up just being knocked out by a falling grate anyway. It's so fucking goofy, dude. We heal up, and now we can run around, and we can get around the game marginally faster than before. Which is important, because now we have to outrun a horde of zombies. Very conveniently placed zombies, and I'm sure weren't just dragged and dropped into the scene. And yeah, I mean, they obviously were. This is a game made in an editor. But that's not the point I'm making. We also learned through this chase scene, if it can even be called that we have a special ability. But first, we need to get over this furniture. Do we crouch jump? No. Do we shoot it? No, we have no weapons. But it turns out our special ability is hitting the Z button on your keyboard, which makes you go prone. Yep. You just have to use this entirely unmentioned mechanic that the game barely uses after this point. And again, this is you'll see this becoming more of a growing problem. This game doesn't tell you anything. You never know what you're meant to be doing. And then we run into a cutscene that is too. I mean, it's very poorly blended with like the gameplay. We meet another one of our main characters. And we actually get to experience dialogue between two characters, not just a monologue. And this is the first bit of the game that is not a monologue by someone. I know it's kind of surprising when, 40 minutes in and we're just now having dialogue. But hunt down the Freeman for you.
I'm fine, thanks.
An HECU? What are Special Forces doing here?
I was about to ask the same question. National Guards?
Anyways, are you alone? Is there anyone else with you?
Negative. It's just me. What the hell is going on out there?
We learn that we're in the middle of an alien invasion, and everyone in this conversation just seems so bored by the idea of being invaded by aliens. It's like they have somewhere else to be. It's just so fucking strange. Where's the direction? Were the VAs just sent a script?
There is no easy way to put it, but as far as we know, we're under an alien invasion. Those things are targeting mainly military bases. It's been just 2 hours. First 1 big portal appeared, then 10, then 100. The best thing is to get the hell away from them.
What about the army?
There's no more army. No more military. We're the only ones left.
And we, as fans of the series, know this is the 7-hour war, and we know it took 7 hours for all of humanity to collapse and be enslaved. And these people are, they're bored? Gee, I wonder how Hunt Down the Freeman's going to handle that can of worms. All the ethical questions, the pure logistics of it, the raw emotional weight of Mitchell's entire species being wiped out overnight. And well, you can probably guess, and there's a fair chance he would be right either way. Oh, and this guy's called Nick, and he's a main character for the narrative, who's also voiced by a fellow YouTuber I Hate Everything.
Listen to me. We are gathering on the metro station on Brandon Street. If you can make it there, find Colonel Q. Tell him Nick sent you. Take this radio and map with the station marked on it. Use it. Good luck to you.
Mitchell.
Godspeed, Mitchell. Hey, Mitchell. Welcome to Albuquerque.
Fucking hell. And now that we're out of the hospital, we're also out of the tutorial levels now. We can really start to understand the meat and bones of Hunt Down the Freeman, what makes it tick and all that shit. We open into this large, it's an open area, destroyed skyscrapers, rubble, these weird, as far as I'm aware, new to canon crystals. And we have no idea where to go. Your first instinct is probably to head towards the military in the distance who are fighting stuff, or go to the source in the military helicopters. But you can't. You're meant to enter this small store and go to the back to find, no joke, Mitchell's actual knife from Black Mesa. He even remarks about it.
Wait, this is my knife. What the hell?
And in another weird design choice, if you break these crates, you get a pistol. Why is there a pistol in these crates? Surely we need a pistol, right? So why was it hidden? Like, I can see the idea the devs had. You get a knife, so you instinctively want to smash boxes. But up to this point, no other box has given us ammo, health, or a weapon, so there's no player incentive to smash the boxes to get a pistol. So why would the player do it? And also, how the fuck do I get out of this room? Okay, so the last mission taught us we had a special ability called proning. So surely I have to go prone and... No, okay. I have a pistol. Do I have to shoot the window? No, okay. I guess I'll just go back the way I came. The headcrab zombies wake up, and now I have my crate pistol, I can finally fight back. But because ammo is made out of packaged air, it does nothing, and I have to use my knife. You can then go outside and get confused on where to go. Ah, you meant to knife the padlock on the gate. Because fun fact, shooting it doesn't do anything. Again, just another weird quirk of Hunt Down the Freeman. We venture forth, we find an assault rifle, and now we can make contact with the apparently destroyed US military who are fighting... What the fuck? Dude. Is that meant to be a combined soldier? What? Look at it, why is it so scaled up? Why does it look like that? Why is its head a fucking pumpkin? Seriously. These guys took over the world in 7 hours with their oversized Half-Life 2 pulse rifles. Fuck off. They can barely even overrun this small group of random marines in the middle of a city. The 7-hour war was probably just because the world ran out of ammo. These combined soldiers, which I'm going to call pumpkinheads from this point on, don't pose any threat other than numbers and the anemic ammo supplies that apparently the entire world suffers from. And this little scene here highlights the game's greatest weakness, which I'm sure you're going to come to expect as we progress through this game, because I have no idea what I'm meant to be doing. The game gives me a gun, ammo and health, plus a place to restock an ammo and health. So I think, I'm meant to stay here, it's like a wave-based survival section. But no one has even acknowledged my presence yet. What am I meant to be doing? Well, I just don't know, and I was convinced the game didn't know until this random combine gunship crashes and a fence get knocked down. And I just assumed I was meant to go over there. And yeah, you are, this is the intended path, which makes no fucking sense and is not communicated to the player in any way. You could easily miss the gunship exploding if you're not looking the right way. It doesn't even, I don't think it even makes a noise. It's so easily missed, it's not even so bad it's good or even funny, it's just a blatant lack of understanding for visual design or language. Fucking free mods get this better, this costs 15 Australian dollars, what the fuck? So, we move on. We go into a level loader, and now we're finding more pumpkin heads until we run out of ammo, so we begin to knife them. Then we discover we have a grenade launcher as well, another thing that was never communicated to the player. And now we have to go into this building because there's a sniper or something. Again, it's only communicated through these random shots going off, which never seem to actually hit any enemies, or injure you, or really do anything. So I guess this guy up there must be a really good sniper. He's so talented in his field. And in an act of absolute, game developer genius, we begin this next level loaded in the wrong way, facing the outside street, not the open lobby behind us where the objective actually is. We pick up a shotgun, we press a call button on an elevator, and now we enter a long wave-based survival section against fast zombies. Literally fucking heaps of them with limited ammo in a boring room. I mean, at least you have music, that's something. It's not exactly a good track for situational mood, but it's something. We just kite enemies around. Maybe we get daring with the assault rifle, God knows. You just keep going until the elevator opens up and we go to the next level. Which, according to Hunt Down the Freeman, should be more fucking zombies, because this game is so limited in its design choices. So, we fight some zombies, we wander through a very long hallway that has literally no lighting at all. This dev team just seems very opposed to lighting indoor scenes. I have a basic understanding of making source mods, and I know it's fairly simple to light stuff. It's just laziness. It's not atmospheric or anything. It's just a lack of light. And then we have then we meet this random ass sniper who we have no reason to talk to.
So, you're that sniper, huh? Black Ops?
And you must be Mitchell?
And you must be the one on the radio.
I heard that you guys have a plan about getting out of the city.
Maybe.
I want in.
His name is Adam, and he's the most pivotal character in the entire game. No joke. He actually, in this game's canon, is the most important character in Half-Life. Again, no joke. And no, I will not further elaborate until we learn why.
Why?
Hey, let's make a deal.
I'm listening.
Good. First, let's lower the guns, okay? I can get you to Brandon Street with shortcuts and give you sniper support, but I want in. I'm getting the hell out of this city. Alive. So whatever your plan is, I'm in. When we're out, I'll go my own way. Until then, I'm the only friend you got.
So you strike a deal with Adam. He wants out of the city and he'll give you a shortcut and sniper support in return. A good deal if he could fucking hit anything, but, we'll take it, I guess.
So tell me, Mr. Black Ops, why should I trust you? You guys fucked us over at Black Mesa.
Adam.
What?
My name, it's Adam. And we just followed orders. They sent us to do the job you guys failed to do.
You killed your own people!
Didn't you? By the time we got there, you guys already killed more than half the Black Mesa staff.
That was different.
How? Face it, Mitchell. I did nothing different than you.
At least I didn't backstab my own brothers in arms.
I guess he's meant to be the people who nuked plus Black Mesa and opposing force or something. And Mitchell's angry because, they backstabbed their brothers in arms. But who cares? There's an alien force here, and you guys are talking about Black Mesa. Black Mesa is so unimportant right now. But that's fine. A little bit of fanfare, I guess. The game fucking needs it at this point, so I'll let it slip.
I already told you it was an order. You ever disobey orders? Now I got a question for you, Mitch. How the hell did you make it alive from Black Mesa?
I found my way back. How did you get out, Adam?
Well, I guess I found my way back. So, Mitch, we got a deal or what?
Well, looks like you're in.
Alright then, let's get the hell out of this goddamn city.
You remember the canals from Half-Life 2? You get the little airboat, and you get to just, ride around, do some physics puzzles. Well, what if they were infinitely less interesting, and you had to do it on foot? Well, welcome to Hunt Down the Freeman's, take on the canals. Because you just get chased by a combined gunship, but it somehow feels less exciting than the zombie horde from the previous mission. It barely does any damage, and there's heaps of cover around you, plus, I don't think it's actually programmed to hit you. I tried firing back at it to see if that was what I was meant to do, but no, it's a chase sequence, so you just better run. We do get this cool little bit where the gunship's at the other end of a tunnel you're running down, but that might have been a bug. It's very unclear. Eventually we find our way into a little sewerage thingo, and we're seen to be braced against a last stand between us, the gunship, and some hunters. We kill the hunters with some very, very conveniently placed explosive barrels. Almost like some third party is watching us or something. More on that later. And then we start to get rained on by headcrab canisters. And I feel like it should be a really cool sequence. But I found a place where I was just safe from it all. So it was really just a hassle having to wait out for the animation to finish. One of them destroys this grate and we get to leave the mission. But in some cruel, cold, calculated act, we are launched immediately into another mission. This one takes place in the suburbs, but the local construction company must have been using Left 4 Dead 2 models that day, because all of this is from Left 4 Dead 2. I remember these buildings from, I think it was the Louisiana campaign, the one in the swamps, I think. And well, this isn't asset stealing, as this is a source engine game, and thus you can legally use Valve models and whatnot. But it is still kind of shifty. It shows a lack of care and just a desire or want to design and craft a unique world. But it is legal. So it's not the worst outcome, but I don't know, I'm still not a big fan of it. This level also showcases more problems with gameplay, which again just sets down to direction in the end. But with this part here, am I meant to sit here and shoot Combine soldiers till they stop? And the answer, of course, is no. Despite the fact that the only way through this area takes you, past a fully interactable mounted machine gun pointed at Combine soldiers. You're just meant to keep on walking. It's so fucking weird. And then you have this weird sequence of a Strider, and it just doesn't really land. We just have to run until this random garage opens up, and then we go down there, and now we're in an underground car park. We shoot some pumpkin heads, and now we're underground, and now it's puzzle time. So, with this puzzle, I spent, no joke, 15 minutes trying to figure out what to actually do here. The basic idea is that we need that power cable for some power stuff downstairs, but we can't get over the fence. I tried stacking stuff up. I tried using the game's free running mechanic. No dice for, either of them. I even found a vent that is fake. Very weird decision. Very, very weird decision. But the solution, it turns out, is to go downstairs, right, and use the elevator. I assumed the power was for the elevator. I assumed that's what everyone assumed, because why the fuck would a normal door need power? So, you take the elevator up, get the cord, power the door, and now Adam's waiting for you down there for no fucking reason, and together you enter the subway where the US military is hiding out. Adam and Mitchell navigate past a minefield of claymores, which, as we all know, are the perfect weapon to use as mines, because they only fire frontward. So hopefully no one just walks behind them. And then we have a cutscene. We get introduced to some new characters and the ever-lovable Larry.
Cease fire! Cease fire! They're human. Well, look who we got here, boys. A Black Ops and a Marine. Hoorah! Let me introduce myself, son. I'm Colonel Q, but you can call me Sir.
Colonel, I met some of your men, Nick and Brad, at the hospital. They said you have a plan to get out of the city?
That's right. We do have a plan. We'll run away.
Where can we run away? Those aliens are everywhere.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo. This picture came from our contact, Captain Roosevelt. It was taken in California. They're in the air and on the ground.
Not on the sea.
Correct.
But there's no sea in New Mexico.
Well, that's why we're going to California.
The cutscene introduces us to the human race's only plan for survival. Apparently the Combine are on the land and in the air, but not the sea. And I feel like I have to point out a logical problem with this equation, because I also didn't notice it at first, because you know what's above the ocean, right? Air. They are above the ocean. We're getting a boat, not a submersible. So we're just going to have to contend with gunships instead of hunters and pumpkins. Again, brilliant plan.
But first we need this goddamn train to move. Someone has got to get past those zombies, get in the control room, and activate the train. Any volunteers? That's real brave of you, Larry. Your country's proud of you.
Hello? Me? I did not volunteer, sir.
If your mother was alive, she'd be proud of you, son.
My mother is dead?
You might die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Alright, I'll do it.
Good. Take Larry with you.
But first, you and Larry, the comedy genius as it were,
Sorry, Sarge. I'm taking it.
Do your marine
Stop.
thing.
The tickles. Stop.
need to go clear out the zombies and get something started. That part is a little unclear. You fight some zombies, Larry seems really, really into you,
The tickles.
and then we have a mad dash to the train control room. And now we get the worst cutscene I have ever seen in a video game. And I mean this, I have seen cutscenes that don't load, don't have audio, but I have never seen one that is so poorly directed, acted, lit, and shot. This is terrible.
My fellow Americans, as your President and Commander-in-Chief, it is with a heavy heart that I'm informing you that we have made a strategic decision to surrender to the alien invaders known as the Combine. Right now, this is the best chance for our survival as Americans and as humans.
Resident Evil 1 has some weird VO, but this has a smug Keemstar role-playing as Donald Trump.
This has been the hardest decision of my life, and I did not do so lightly. As Americans, and indeed as human citizens, we have never willingly surrendered to oppression. And this very idea is anathema to our core values and everything we hold dear.
This is a cutscene where we learnt the US government has surrendered to the Combine, and Keemstar here is jerking himself off over the radio waves.
Yet, the fact and hard truth remains that we lost this battle for now. And believe me, we will live to fight another day. We shall return. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
It is so poorly executed. How did no one watch this and go, maybe we should change that? And that's just fucking Keemstar.
I never voted for this guy.
I guess you don't understand the situation, my friend. We're all dead men walking.
Those things. The only thing we know for sure is those things are smarter than we thought. Think about it. The first hour they come through the portals, but not just random locations. First those motherships targeted the military bases. So they cut all the firepower we had. Then they released the grunts to the populated areas, cities. It's like they know the way we are. They know our weaknesses.
Those creatures can be many things, but they're not stupid.
Do you know something we don't, Black Ops?
Well, I guess I do.
Well, maybe you should open your mouth and start talking.
The aliens are coming! We've been compromised!
Spit it out, Corporal!
Fucking Pyro Cynical comes in the end and delivers an Oscar-worthy performance.
Oh, Colonel. We are so fucked.
Everyone else is just as bad. Fucking Adam's VO is barely trying. I guess he does come off as snarky and unlikable, so maybe he is playing the character very well, actually. And I'm not sure if you noticed it, but this game has like those weird Kojima-esque camera zooms. And simply put, I fucking hate them. They are unmotivated and it only works to make each line more noticeably shitty. And why does Mitchell suffer a crisis of faith when Keemstar announces the surrender of the country? At least the director knew how to frame up a shot. We have a nice triangle going on there. That's nice, but it does stand out as well done in the montage of shit. And this isn't to mention the utterly strange cuts on Nick's little monologue. He jumps between poses each cut. It's jarring and utterly unacceptable for a game that bills itself as a cinematic masterpiece.
Random locations. First those motherships targeted the military bases. So they cut all the fire.
We leave the cutscene and we're facing the wrong way again. I hate this game so much. So we run forward, we get disappointed, turn around and head outside. And I know from Captain whatever the fuck that I have to open up this gate. I break some boxes, turn a valve, and Okay. The valve doesn't turn anymore, so why isn't the gate up? Well, remember that shitty pro mechanic from an hour ago? We'll have to use that again. Something which will, no joke, ever come up again. It gets used twice, and that's it. We turn the valve, let our boys through, and now we have to find the train. And much like many metros around the world, it proves to be awkward, and you have to ask yourself a lot of deep questions, like, where do I go? Where's all the ammo? Which, once again, highlights the core problem of this game. What am I meant to be doing here? What's the actual objective? Is it to get on the train, or to defend the train? Is there a trigger? Do I have to get on the train? What am I doing? The lack of ammo legit makes me stab pumpkin heads, like for fuck's sakes. I keep scouring the station to try and magically find the carriage that looks identical to the others. But like, you could be wandering around the expanse of this train station for the rest of your life if you didn't get lucky. Plus, it's through the hordes of combined soldiers that we just don't have the ammo to deal with. It's a shitty experience. But, and this is a big but, it was fun. It was chaotic and random. It felt really broken, but it was fun because of it. And again, but, this soon wears off and becomes tedium. But I feel like at this point, we should all be expecting that from this game, right? Whoa, okay, now we're in a train's cockpit? Control room? Whatever. The doors don't open, but we do have a ladder. So we ascend into the void and get confused. We walk around some... Oh, okay, we have music. Okay, some shit's probably going down, I guess. It's probably on its way. Whoa, okay, sure, whatever. I mean, like, I won't say no. Is something meant to happen here? Whoa! Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. These triggers make no sense, dude. Like, what decides the miniguns to spawn? What decides the gunships to spawn? Most games have it making sense, but this is something else. You can probably see where this little sequence is going. We kill some gunships, and then we lose a carriage. Kill some gunships, lose a carriage. We keep doing that until we're left with just the front engine. It takes about 5 minutes of constant shooting when nothing changes. It's very boring. They made a minigun shooting gallery boring. And then we cut to black. We then cut into a cutscene where our three main characters are walking towards some military cosplayers. Something stolen valor. We then get some character building for everyone who died aboard the train, including the weirdly fake mustache wearing Colonel Q. Even Larry, the lovable sidekick that had more character development than most of the characters on screen right now.
Welcome to Nevada, boys. Where's the rest of you?
They're dead. All of them. Combine got them.
We also learned the aliens are called the Combine. When did that happen? Keemstar didn't mention it. Neither did Q, or Larry, or the train. So is this just an oversight, or did I miss something?
Colonel Q?
Dead.
Shit.
We get the typical, he was a tough bastard line.
He was always a tough bastard.
Toughest son of a bitch I ever knew.
I'm Lieutenant Harvey, and these are my men. 5th Ranger Company.
Sergeant Mitchell. Adam, Nick.
Alright, Sergeant. We got 6 hours to make it to the beach. The road to California will take a few hours, then we're gonna stop by the warehouse to get some supplies, and people too if we can.
But the point of this cutscene is to establish we have 6 hours to reach the beach. But first we have to swim past the warehouse. The only warehouse that exists, fun fact, to pick up some supplies.
We're expecting some heavy combat with Combine on the way. You guys take this one. One of you get up on the gun and follow us. Rangers, lead the way.
Oh my god. a vehicle section? Finally, I can't see how they're gonna fuck this one up. Fuck's sakes. I had seriously misplaced my happiness there. If you remember, this is what I called the worst looking level of Hunt Down the Freeman. I also neglected to tell you that it's easily the worst level overall. It consists of driving from point A to point B. You get ambushed by some combat every now and then, but it's weird because the game even gives you a replacement vehicle despite the fact that the vehicle doesn't take damage. Which leads me to think that playtesting for this level led to lots of complaints over stuck vehicles. Maybe they fell down the seams in the world that are present every 2 meters. I like to think that this is a problem because it makes the level slightly more acceptable in my mind, oddly enough. This level is also an escort mission, but the catch is the vehicle you're escorting, this truck, can't take damage either. It actually exists to hinder your progress. It frequently tries to ram you off the road. It's better they either speed ahead or stick behind it. And I don't even think your progression is tied to the truck. I reckon you could just speed forward to get to the level change trigger and be completely fine. But I did not want to chance this game. I did not want to unleash some bug that forces me to start over from the top, which I know has happened to some people. So I played it safe, because if this level has one positive, it's that I know what I'm meant to be doing. It is the only level in the whole game that actually makes that clear. Jesus. Reach the level loader and transition directly into the next, and whew, fucking hell, we're going to quick. Mitchell might be about to lose his license, everyone. Our truck just pulls over and then some head-crabbed canisters just spawn in front of us. And look. A Humvee-sized hole. Perfect. We know from the voice over the radio we need to go to the factory. So let's go. But first, we have to suffer from a bout of misdirection yet again. I wandered around the map for about 5 minutes trying to figure out where to go. 2 buildings, both of which look like factories. But to be fair to the game, this might just be me, but the correct building does have smokestacks, so I probably should have clued into those, but I still think it's unreadable. So we enter the factory. We spawn once again facing a wall for what I'm pretty sure is the last time. Some workers are chilling in the factory. There's random boards of stuff on them which litter the room. It is admittedly a very weird way to do set dressing, but at this point, I'm pretty happy just to declare it as something. And then we meet Joe, Boston Joe, and I'm just going to let this play out in full because I don't really know how to just encapsulate the pure weirdness of this cutscene.
Whoa! Have you lost your fucking mind? Lower that thing. You're gonna blow us all up.
Jesus, man. Calm down.
Don't fucking tell me to calm down. There's a gas leak that can blow half of us all the way to hell with a fucking match. Half the guys on the planet are stuck inside, and the other half became brain-fucked zombies because they got a big-ass spider with a huge vagina stuck on their head. And you expect me to be calm?
Okay, you're right. Now help me out here, alright? Tell me, how do we get them out?
There's 2 ways to get them out of there. The first is getting the generators on so that we get the power back on to open the doors.
Okay. What's the second way? The second way?
I forgot, okay? I'm under pressure here. Give me a fucking break.
First way then.
Remember, no weapons. Here, take this.
A wrench? Why a wrench?
Because I only got 1 crowbar, and I have no intention to give it away.
Well, I got bad memories with crowbars anyways. Mitchell, by the way.
Joe. But everyone calls me Boston Joe.
Alright, Joe. Let's save your friends from spiders with vaginas.
gonna kick some bubblegum and chew some asses. And I'm all out of asses.
Wait a minute. I thought you said no weapons.
About the shotgun, yeah. It was the other room that had the gas leak, not this one, so you're fine.
Really?
I mixed it up, yeah.
I do love how the game sets up a potentially interesting sequence and then immediately backtracks. And like, it's not even in the cutscene, but at least Joe is somewhat likable, if not just another comedy sidekick character, which is fine, but this game has far too many of them. I also really did like the little jab at the Bitchell vs. Freeman cutscene. It was charming, a little nonsensical, but then again, this whole sequence makes zero fucking sense. The general idea is that we have to get those workers out of that room, so we need to go override the door. So we fight some zombies, and then we reach the room that you think would have controls in it, but we can't interact with them. There's quite literally nothing in this room to do, because, well, the worker door opens as soon as you get into this room. The door into the room is the trigger for that other worker door to open. You just have to leave the entire building once you enter this room. There's no fanfare or logic or cutscene. You just have to accept and expect that the game's fucked in order to progress. I wandered around this area where the zombies were a couple times, looking for a hidden room or a switch, but nothing. The game, for all intents and purposes, is just that lazily made. You don't even get to see the workers leave. The door's just partially open. Once outside, we get greeted by what I can only describe as the Manhack 2.0. It's more dangerous, more visible, and somewhat easier to kill. And, well, they fucking explode. The game has no quarrel of sending over a dozen at you at a time. It quickly becomes extremely annoying. One of them is enough to finish you off, but a dozen? That's Bitchell everywhere. He's over the walls and floors of this fine factory. This level is effectively a wave-based defense. You fight off hunters, pumpkinheads, manhacks 2.0. It is, to be fair and to be honest, a very decent level actually. The one thing that I actually quite like about Hunter and the Freeman so far is the combat. So a mission based around combat is generally a pretty good experience. Enemies are either already there in the warehouse, or enemies spawn in via Half-Life 1-esque Zen portal effects. It is a decent way of doing things. But out of all the enemies so far in this section, the hunters are easily the most enjoyable to fight. Because I do suspect that they have the exact same AI from Half-Life 2, so they already know how to maneuver, use tactics, albeit rather limited tactics, as the hunters in Half-Life 2 were kind of just... They were kind of just like, ooh, here's a new enemy. That's kind of the purpose. They were there to break up combat with the normal, bipedal combat enemies. So, it works here as well, frankly. And if you do find yourself a ladder to the roof, you can even find a sniper rifle that actually functions like a sniper rifle. The scope is pretty nice here as well. It's a nice section, and, well, then the music stops, and so does the combat, and the game's lack of direction rears its head again. Like, what am I meant to be doing here? I do eventually find out what I'm meant to be doing, because I find our truck from earlier. It's just next to some bollards. I find the lever, and then the truck leaves. But I got my Humvee stuck earlier, so I decided just to run after the truck. It admittedly takes a while, but at least it's something. It works. Whoa. Okay, well, sure, I guess. We're now in a cargo port, or something. I mean, cool, but why? And fuck's sakes, we spawn in right next to a fucking security booth with a solid emissive white floor. Did literally no one test this game? That's straight up a floor without a texture. It might even be the default material or something. I don't fucking know. It's fucked. And to make things worse, I have no idea why I'm here. I know that the narrative communicates that we need to get a boat, but I thought it was a military boat. Why is that a fucking civilian cargo port? And what direction is the boat in? I do kind of just explore the area until I see those the floating camera bot things. I forget the name of what Half-Life 2 calls them. And if you look in the distance way out there, They obviously just spawn them in every unit of time. And you can see them spawn in. It is really fucking lazy. And I guess I just have to go the way that they're spawning, right? Is that why they're here? Are they here to direct the player on where to go? I just literally have no idea. And then, as seemingly out of the blue, a small squadron of hunters show up and attack some pot shots, because what the fuck else am I meant to do? And through killing them, I can now see the lighthouse, which is the objective for this stage. Which, you know, isn't communicated and doesn't make much sense at all. I'm here for a boat, so why am I going to the lighthouse? And on the way, there's just heaps of random shit to look at, a warehouse that should have ammo but doesn't, crates lined up for parkour but have an invisible wall. It's disappointing. Even when you get to the lighthouse, there's no communication of what to do. I climb a ladder, and before I hit the next ladder, I'm already running into an invisible object. Like, what the fuck? Playtest your game, you fucking nonce. Hunt Down the Freeman also is about to have its first set piece, which is set upon that random lighthouse. And it feels and looks just as bad as you would expect from this game at this point. It's terrible and makes no sense why we go up there. Is it just so the game can connect these two maps together? Probably. But dress it up a little bit more. Jesus. And then, in a fit of what I can only describe as game designer genius, we're now in the water with a gunship shooting at us, and we can't take cover. So we just take damage, and it's such a stupid fucking gimmick. Like, once on land, the game does start to feel more like a game and less of a strange experimental art piece about loss. But the gunship is still a major pain in my ass. But now I have a car because that makes sense for the environment we're in. Which, in case it isn't clear, also has no shadows. But I feel like I could focus on that for like the better half of an hour. So we'll just skip talking about that. Like, you can see it. You know it's terrible. The conclusion would just be that it's shit not to have shadows, especially in a scene with directional lighting. It's just awful design, frankly. And the car presents an interesting problem as well. It effectively changes the sense of scale in the area because suddenly we're moving at double the speed. And we can dish out damage really quickly. We can turn hunters into mincemeat. It's kind of nice. I am making great progress with this game now, right? But then, well, these portals show up and we get a new enemy. It's a Vortigaunt. And this should be fun. They're a low-level enemy, so it should be relatively simple. And no, it takes 2 shots to kill me. What the fuck? And then the game spawns like 4 of them at a time, so you have a 50-50 chance of being 2-shot at any one time. It's shit. So this is obviously going to be a very annoying sequence, and we're not even halfway through the game yet. So, armed with the logic that I probably shouldn't be fighting the Vortigaunts, I decided to try a new approach. If I see them spawn, I fucking leg it. And through doing this new strategy of mine, I do eventually just find this random flare on the ground. I mean, the last flare pointed me to this Humvee, so it must be the level exit point, is my logic. But it just leads into a maze of cargo containers. But the flare was there, so this must be the way, right? Like, Jesus Christ. You're quite literally just meant to find the right passage through. It's not even gameplay. It's just fucking so bizarre that this is where the level transition point is. Why? We enter the next stage, immediately facing the wrong way and immediately taking damage. A gunship flies overhead and I just know. I can just feel it in my veins that this level is going to be bullshit. I just know it. And well, soon enough it turns out to be a broken mess that has no direction or, reason for existing. I run down this corridor of cargo containers, trying my best to dodge the rounds from the gunship, but I keep taking damage. And I don't know where I'm going. And I don't know if I'm meant to take down the gunship or keep running. Again, it's just unclear. I kill a single manhack, and then I discover that these random drones drop health. That'll fix my health problems at the very least. And finally, direction. I find a bridge joining the 2 sides of the port, so I figure my objective must be over there. The gunship takes a few passes at me, but I do ultimately make it across the bridge. But I think this is the wrong way. I think there's nothing over here. So I must go back the way I came and try the other end of this side of the port. But yet again, I get confused because there's nothing here either. But across the water is stuff. So how do I cross? Well, there's boats downriver, and yet again, my eyes roll back and the words jumping puzzle appear in my vision because for fuck's sakes. You think Half-Life 1 would have taught people that jumping puzzles in a Half-Life game are probably not a good idea, but here we are again. So I know I have to be quick because I have thousands of manhacks in the air following me. There's no way in hell I'll be able to survive even one of them hitting me. I also know I can't kill the gunship. And because if I stand here, the gun's going to kill me, so I just have to jump. Fuck. So the water's toxic or something. Fuck, I don't know. I gotta restart. Thanks, no clip. I'll do the ship run in less than 12 parsecs or whatever the fuck. The water clips into the ladder. Normal stuff, really. I save, and now I need to go find this fucking ship I'm meant to be finding. And luckily, in a weird stroke of genius for this game, it's really clear where I need to go. I get a flare, I get friendly NPCs shooting. It's actually, honestly, quite nice for this game. Finally.
Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by this some have entertained angels without knowing it. Hebrews 13:2.
Oh Christ, he's one of those people, is he? He's a theatre kid given a job. Oh God, oh fuck.
Welcome aboard, gentlemen. I am Captain Roosevelt. Tell me, who is in charge of all these warriors?
Why does Mitchell look like he's a prep being selected as the captain of a dodgeball match?
Please step up.
Like, I know, I mean, I couldn't believe it either, bud. They chose you, the guy who slept through the 7-hour war.
Your name, young man?
I'm Sergeant...
I have no interest in your rank. Your name. Who are you?
Mitchell.
Mitchell, huh? Yes, Mitchell. A name with many meanings. For some, the meaning is a gift from God. For others, who is like God? Which one are you, Mitchell? Are you a gift from God sent to save us? Or perhaps you are God himself, come to doom our worthless lives?
Perhaps.
So, I mean, as it turns out, Mitchell was God, or in service of God. It's another self-insert writer-director thing. It comes off as really dumb, so why does this random captain we just met say this? And why does Mitchell kind of believe it? This man has an ego so big that he doesn't question whether or not he should be in charge of a small army, which is something I will be getting back into, because this game makes a really fucking dumb decision.
Perhaps.
He's cursed.
Cursed, eh? What kind of curse is this?
Nothing but some bullshit.
Whoever is at the top of his command dies. Colonel Q, Sergeant Harvey, they're all dead. But whatever happens, he lives.
It's just a coincidence. There's no such thing as a curse.
We'll see about that, Sergeant. You and your men from now on are under my command. Welcome to Avalon Vale, and welcome to the crew.
So, yeah, we get this really strange tension between Mitchell and everyone else, because everyone in charge of Mitchell dies. It's another Messiah thing regardless, but the ship is also called the Avalon Vale. Avalon is a King Arthur thing. I believe it's the island where the sword is found, or it's the lake or something. It's a mythical fantasy name for a ship, and it's, you know, it's one of those things which is meant to sound cool, but it just sounds weird. It's a name that never pops up again, or never doesn't really have like a meta importance to the narrative at all. And then we just get dropped into the weirdest beginning to a mission ever. we start facing our allies, which spawn, well, weirdly. And now we have the first of many wave-based survival sections, and it may be hard to believe based off of the runtime of this video, but we're only about halfway through the game now. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I feel it way more than you do. But let's talk about shooting at faraway objects for at least a few moments here. And it will just be a few moments, because this is just shooting things for 5 minutes. There is no joke, nothing else. Enemies don't really even get close enough to attack. The only hassle is the Vortigons, who can just one-shot you. So as long as I die quickly, it's probably fine. Performance also really dies here as well. There's heaps of rain effects, heaps of little explosions, heaps of enemies spawning in constantly. Plus, as far as I can tell, friendly AI really brings this engine to its fucking knees. And this will turn up again, so it's not a singular case. But there's not really much to be said about this sequence. It's mostly boring and serves as a stopgap for the next cutscene.
That's not a curse. You made a deal with the devil. Here, you have it.
I guess it really is a deal with the devil. The devil being G-Man, his interdimensional cosmic police time-traveling task force, but the game really wants us to be sad over the death of the captain, but the last time we saw him, which was also the first time, was 5 minutes ago, and he has been a massive prick. So why would I care? It's often a beginner's rider's crutch to fall back onto death as an emotional moment, and it can work. But it needs to be set up over time, and the character needs to be interesting or at least memorable. I don't remember this guy's name. It's only now when I'm doing the VO for this video that I can remember his name as Captain Roosevelt. And it's meant to be a meaningful moment. But he didn't even sacrifice himself. He just got blown up and then said that we served the devil. It's hardly a good moment to end on.
Well, it looks like you're the captain now. Captain Mitchell.
Yeah, sure, why not? This random cunt we met a few hours ago would lead us into the future. Why the fuck not? Like, everyone on the boat just watched a dying man say that this guy's cursed or is making deals with devils or is unlucky or whatever the fuck. So why not make him the leader? Like, Christ, I guess since he's in charge, he won't die because... Oh, then, no, but he... I don't know. This curse or whatever makes no sense. So I don't really care. Like, fucking Christ. And this cutscene ends with us jumping 3 years into the future. We end up roughly, I think it's 17 years before Half-Life 2. We're now closer to Half-Life canon. And yeah, we do eventually catch up to Half-Life 2, so don't worry. We do get to see Gordon again, sadly.
It's been 3 years since the 7-hour war. There are no more countries. Only territories where they once were, all the governments having been replaced by one, the Combine. The alien...
We also get a massive monologue of information, because why the fuck not? It basically serves to fill us in on the stuff that Half-Life 2 does within its first 5 minutes of actual gameplay, which is funny considering what you will see in a few chapters' time. But we learn about the Combine, the inhibition field, the various cities around the world, the slow journey of the ocean. And yeah, we're still going with the idea that the Combine doesn't have boats, but at least Mitchell acknowledges that the sea is indeed below the sky.
But they lacked naval capabilities due to their overall goal of draining that resource. Until that happened, we needed a way to defend our ship from their air superiority. And for that, we needed to go to City 9, otherwise known as New Alaska.
It's snowy, cold, and I think Mitchell wants to go home. But first, he needs to stumble forward into a hole. In what is admittedly could be a cool sequence, we have to like navigate a frozen cave with a single flare, but much like most of this game's cool moments, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't move past its premise. I always end up wishing there was puzzles or combat to spice it up. It often, in most of this game, the cool moments are just walking with nothing else, but it looked cool at least. At least I think it did. Looking back in the footage, it looks okay. I think my standards have just dropped to a point where a level that doesn't have obnoxious visual artifacting was an example of good design. Which is, very sad. We do eventually merge into a giant open corridor, valley, and it does look pretty alright. We got some nice volumetrics in the distance. The house in front of us, or the shed as I like to call it, has a sniper rifle in it, a tool that will prove pretty much useless for the next section, but at least it's, a sniper rifle. It's cool looking, I guess. It's a bolt action, it's wooden, it has a scope. I dig the scope. I love that it actually is a bolt action. It's not like a semi-automatic disguise as a bolt action, as so many games do. But I do wonder if some of this weapon was lifted from Insurgency or perhaps even Day of Defeat. The entire sequence is basically just walking around while these reskinned Antlions spawn around you. They either spawn really close or really far away. You have enough ammo to kill them all, especially considering the rifle is an instant kill on them. But this sequence goes on for a while. Like a few minutes. It's the same backdrop, the same gameplay. It gets, frankly boring really quickly. But somehow, in hindsight, it's much more enjoyable than the next bit of gameplay. You keep going until you hit this massive wall. The important part isn't actually the wall, by the way, but the little bit to the right of it, a series of pipes that allow you to move up. But we need to talk about the pipes in this game because I don't know what the developer was thinking. I think more importantly the animators were thinking. Because this is shit. But I do need to talk about this, first off. In the lower corner, the left-hand corner, you may notice that the chapter name is permanently on the screen. Well, I had dinner and I came back, and then it was just permanently on the screen. So I'm not really sure what happened, but it's on the screen for pretty much the rest of the game. It's pretty annoying from my point of view, but we just have to live with it. I think it's honestly a pretty half-decent analogy for how long this game seems as well. But pipes. Well, pipes are shit. These use the same system as climbing onto tall ledges, but this time the animation is much more horrid. It takes forever to do this pipe. And you have to watch that jerky animation every time you move up, inch by inch by inch. It is so bad. I understand the devs thought this would be a cool, spy thriller moment, but it's not. It's just terrible, frankly. It makes me think that the developers they played Mirror's Edge the weekend before and went, I should play that. But he couldn't, place his finger on what Mirror's Edge did well, which, just so we're on the same page here, dear listener, is animations and a sense of weight. Both of these things aren't done here. Well, they're done, but it's not in a way that... It's kind of in the same way that a sandwich can be done with nothing in between the slices of bread but butter. Which is to say that it's shit and half-baked. And then, even when you reach the top, you just have to do more terrible stuff. We get what is meant to be a puzzle? Maybe? I don't know. You plug in this cord, you hit a button, and nothing happens. There's nowhere to go, and I mean nowhere. It doesn't make any sense from a game design perspective, because this is meant to be a way around the locked door in the wall. But instead, this unlocks that door. But you won't know that unless you go down there and stand next to it. It's painfully unclear what that button did until you backtrack. And yes, that means back down the pipes, which is so fucking painful. Plus, when you do this, you have this inkling in the back of your skull that you may have to go back up these pipes if this wasn't for the door. But, thankfully, it was for the door. Thank fuck. Ooh. Okay, it's gone. Thank fuck. It just ran off into a wall? Fair enough. I'll just keep running and shooting antlions, even though it's boring, but we do eventually, over the course of the rest of this mission, which drags on again for literal minutes, is that we get a glimpse of more hunters. But we can't get up to where they are, so we just have to soldier on. Eventually, though, you do encounter some snipers. And they basically turn this game into a rhythm game. The sniper effectively fires once every X amount of time. So you can time your dodges and get into cover so you don't get hit. But the rough part of this section is that every sniper gets closer to you, so the time between shots gets shorter and shorter. It is still very easy to get through, but it is kind of a slug, as at times you do have to just keep on reloading your quick saves. It is also extremely weird how this is how they decide to break up the walking and shooting antlions from earlier. They just combined walking and getting shot at. It's strange. Like, we've been seeing hunters for the last half hour. Why not use them instead of these snipers that really just annoy me more than anything else? And to be fair, I will give the devs some points here. This is different. And different is good most of the time. But it stands out to me when I think about the game, and it sticks out as a sore spot. I would have preferred a much more linear section. Like, what if we have the wall with snipers on it and heaps of cover, and we have to get through a hole in the wall or something? That could have been interesting. And probably easier to implement as well. And as it stands out, it's just a weirdly designed and placed sequence. There are multiple sections where 2 or more snipers have line of sight on you. And this means you're dodging at 2 or more different beats, and it becomes awkward really quick. Granted, the level has plenty of cover, but a lot of the time the snipers have overlapping areas of fire, so you can be in cover for one, but not the other. And later in the level, one such sniper literally ignores cover or world geometry altogether. So I don't really think that having cover is a defense for this shithole of a section, but more like something the devs put in to hide their mistakes, as it was quicker than redesigning an entire sequence. And I don't really think they wanted to do that, as the next 30 minutes or so are just more snipers. They do add in some antlions to fight as you dodge around, so that was neat, but it just keeps going. It never really escalates past the mechanical complexity of that first encounter. The last one that shoots through the floor did have to be skipped via no clip, because I tried multiple times and nothing was working. And frankly, I think I deserve a break at this point. This game is kind of shit in nearly every aspect. So if I have to no clip past a section, I really don't care at this point. Just so we're on the same page. The next sequence is, thankfully, a return to form to hunt down the Freeman. We load into a base of some sorts. It's actually somewhat atmospheric too, which surprised me. It sounds and looks creepy. The design of the place seems somewhat believable as well. This is a massive plus for me. It is the only level so far that seems like it could have been in Half-Life 2, or the same planet, frankly. I quite like the fact that we roll into this high-tech alien outpost with a sniper rifle. It's very tonally right. We are rebels who live on a boat. We should not have heaps of ammo for standard military equipment. We see our enemies for this next section, and they're even reskinned Elite Combine from Half-Life 2. The reskin looks somewhat okay, and the AI holds up too. I really, honestly quite like this section if I am to be honest. It reminds me of Half-Life 2, and that is a good thing. It's finally invoking the game that is trying to expand. The combat is honestly quite fun. I really do like it when it's allowed to play to its strengths. Like, I've stated in this video that I really like the ability to aim down sights in Half-Life. It adds another layer onto what is already a fantastic core system. It feels good. Weapons sound good. They may not do the most damage, with the exception of the rifle, but I do wish the pistol was useful. But the rifle is a fun weapon to use, so is the newly acquired pulse rifle, which doesn't seem to have its iconic secondary function, as that is now replaced with a pair of shitty iron sights that are next to impossible to aim with. But the hipfire is still fairly usable, so it's not the worst. We do also see the inclusion of stalkers, but Mitchell doesn't really seem all that fazed by it. So we, like the devs, will ignore the ethical considerations of slave labour. just for a moment. I can't really fault this section all that much though. The stalkers were probably just thrown in at the last minute of set dressing. I can say that, as per normal, the levels seem way too big. It makes aiming a little bit weird at times as well, because you're aiming at such a large distance with iron sights. Plus the sound design suffers, because enemy weapons are just too far away to sound impactful. But overall, the section is fun, if not a little on the short side. And then the game says fuck you, punches me in the face and takes all of that away by placing us outside again. And then we get what this game thinks stealth is. Spotlight sees you, you die. It's simple rules, but I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret about this section. The game cheats. Some of these turrets just snap to you at random. You will get through this section on pure luck. And no, you can't just go around the turrets because, for whatever reason, it's too cold up there, so you die. It is a pain. You just have to brute force through this section, and eventually you will get through. Like, I did make a discovery that if you get spotted, you can just run underneath the activated turret, and it won't damage you. So there is a strategy there, but I'm pretty sure that's a bug, so, you know, it's probably not intended. This section is just a slog. You might get lucky, you might not. Any gameplay mechanic or section that relies on luck is normally bad design. There are some exceptions, like stat checks in RPGs, for example. But combat that has a random chance of dodging, but no informed player choice to block an attack, that's bad design. And that's what this section reminds me of. It's just fucking pure chaos. And you just have to keep at it until you pass it. But that doesn't mean this next section is any better, because we have to hit the X button to do some parkour. So we climb up a ledge, we shimmy across it, which much like the pipes has an awful animation. We dodge a turret and ultimately get confused because there is nothing which seems to indicate a point of progression up here. We can't break the glass, there doesn't seem to be a door. I even tried getting the turret to break the glass for me. There's no dice for any of them. I did go back to that save file and explore a bit, and I don't know what the intended path was. I would assume it would be up on the roof, because you can use the parkour system to get up there. It's an intended mechanic, so why isn't it up there? So I, like most people, I just no-clipped into the building and accidentally into a cutscene, for which I have no context for. I may have missed a cutscene before, I may have missed an entire chapter, I quite literally don't know. And admittedly, that is my fault. But I didn't see a point of ingress into the building up there. So I simply I don't know. Boris is an interesting character. Our first introduction is your typical, oh my god, look at how cool this man is type of intro. He plays a fucking piano and you send his daughter to her fucking room? Sigma male energy right there. Is Mitchell? No, Mitchell's dressed like Russian Ocelot, isn't he? From like Metal Gear. Are you fucking kidding me? The parallels are simply too clear to be anything else, right? Through this cutscene, we learn that Boris helps run a factory that produces combined slave labor using children. And the children help make incinerators, which are a cut enemy from Half-Life 2. They're basically mobile, like Nazi death chambers, for lack of a better phrase. They just burn anyone who isn't working or isn't doing what the Combine wants.
But in this case, we are the trash.
Are those children?
Yes. This is how they control all the new generations. The Combine raises them as slaves, forcing any child older than the age of 5 to start to work.
What about those younger than 5?
There are none.
How many are there in this factory?
About 100. I know what you think, and I have the same feelings. It disgusts me, but I have to work for them. For my daughter. That's the only way.
I don't think that's disgusting at all.
Did Mitchell really just say that shit?
Think about it.
Wasn't the main reason we were trying to go to space for decades for the resources? If we had the power to enslave them, wouldn't we? Hell, we enslave our own kind. We couldn't care less about an alien race. That's just nature playing out its own game. It's always been between predator and prey. That's the balance. But this time, the tables are turned. They got to us before we got to them, pulling our resources, draining the oceans, enslaving humans. Enjoy your time while you can, Boris, because sooner or later humans will rise up and put a stop to this. But this time round, humans won't even last 7 hours. They won't stop with the military. They will come for all of us, even for you and your daughter.
Did he really just say that the Combine are justified in slaughtering an entire race and putting their children to work? All because Mitchell wouldn't enslave them if he got the chance? Is this man really that level of 4chan big brain? Like, I cannot believe that is a line that was written in a script. And you know that was one of those moments where the lead dev goes out of their way to self-insert their own ideology because they think it's such a galaxy brain take. When in reality, it's the kind of shit that a 15-year-old would come up with and then immediately grow out of.
You are a wise man indeed. Even though I do not share the same feelings as you, I have to agree that, with what you say, you are correct. We just may be closer to the end sooner than we think. But there's a difference between you and me. Until that day, I will not give up on humanity.
You're a good man, Boris. Now get out of here. Take your daughter and leave.
What do you have in mind?
I'm gonna burn the whole factory to the ground and take those kids with me.
You will do this for the children?
I will, but not for the children. I need an army.
Right?
He needs an army? Oh, Mitchell, surely not. Come on, buddy, you're better than that. Don't do it.
Do what you have to do and leave.
Even if you don't do this for the children, I do appreciate it. And I won't forget that.
Mitchell.
Thank you, Mitchell. We'll meet again.
We will.
Oh god, he's doing it. We'll sadly have to wait to see what Mitchell does with the children, because we need to fight Combine. We have to do it quickly. It's time to blow up this factory. This section is more of the combat that I complimented earlier. In fact, it's more of it. It's heaps more, in fact. This section is literally wave-based survival. I didn't realize until the end, however, but once you do, it gets way more enjoyable. I thought I had to keep on moving forward, but no, you're meant to wait. The game just fails to tell you that as per normal. The sequence, otherwise, is, as per normal again, bland. There's no unique flavour, but then again, vanilla is still a good flavour sometimes, right? The sequence does end in a strange way. We jump forward 17 years. And I don't have screen capture of this, so you just have to believe me, but we jump forward in time. 17 years. Those children we just rescued are now 22 or something. And, well, they're our army now. Mitchell is an African warlord. Mitchell is, in fact, Coney 2012. So, we're now on a boat with our child army. We have no idea where to go. Fuck, that is such a weird thing to write down in the script. What the fuck? So, we run around the boat until, for whatever reason, we hit the sleeping quarters of our child soldiers, and then we get our first cutscene of this chapter of the video.
I just don't understand why it's such an important thing.
The captain needs to see it.
The captain needs to see what?
Was gone, now it's back. A gift for the captain. Do you recognize it?
And for whatever reason, Gordon's crowbar was also in the water near the ship. And for some reason, everyone on this boat knows that Mitchell has massive problems with crowbars. Does he hold, like, therapy Tuesdays where they all get in a talk circle and talk about crowbars? I don't know, because was it a bedtime story he told his child soldiers?
We meet again at last.
You.
Authority, power, and time. We have kept our promise, Mr. Mitchell. We gave you all the treasure you could possibly ask for.
That wasn't treasure, it was a curse! All this power...
This new take on G-Man is the funniest shit I've ever seen. He legit just seems like that kid we all knew back in high school that you like borrow $1 off of, and he would come collecting a year later.
Captain, whoever it takes, whatever it takes, however long it takes, that was the deal, and now the time has come again.
It's just so strange that G-Man is now actively taking the piss out of Mitchell, and like, as far as we know, Mitchell hasn't heard from the G-Man in 20 years at this point.
We require your services. We need you to kill Dr. Freeman.
Yes! It is time to do the titular action of killing the Freeman.
Of the suffering, it's the Freeman himself.
Take it all back. I don't want it. I don't want the power, the authority, not even the time. I just want it to end. Freeman can go to hell.
Sadly, I have to inform you, it's not that easy. You see, Captain, from now on, our agreement is coming due. We've done our part, and now it's your turn to do yours.
Or else?
Then I have no option but to let you get in a battle that you have no chance of winning. Now, pardon me. I have to take this back to its owner. Do not be late. City 17 awaits.
Alex!
Yes, Captain?
Assemble the men.
Aye, aye, Captain.
We basically go from that cutscene directly into another one.
What's going on?
We have to go to City 17.
City 17? But why?
Gordon Freeman is back. Somehow we have to find a way to reach the Combine and convince them to side with us so we can hunt down Freeman together.
Whoa, slow down. Reach the Combine? Gordon Freeman? Captain, are you mad? You hear what you're saying?
Yeah, me too, buddy. Mitchell's master plan for taking down Freeman is to literally join a group of literally genocidal aliens just so he can kill a guy that hit him with a crowbar some 20 years back. I think it's fair to say that Mitchell actually peaked in Black Mesa.
I'm well aware of what I'm asking, Nick.
Mitchell, even if that was true, you know what that means, right? People will die. Are you willing to lose everything we have?
Everything we have? We don't own anything, Nick. We just borrowed it. Even our own lives. We weren't meant to live this long.
Oh my fucking god, the fucking edge on this cunt.
Killed. You've survived for 20 years on this ship, and every single time we step foot on that land, too many innocent lives are taken. Those kids you took, didn't they have enough? You don't care for any of them, do you? You never did. Just used them. Do what the hell you gotta do. But I'm not gonna be a part of this. God help us.
No. God will stay away from this one.
He's legit using children that he's trained for 20 years as cannon fodder. He legit thinks in his head that he is the main character. He is written as someone who actually thinks they're the main character. It is so fucking absurd. The golden plan is to use the only people he's known for the last 20 years just so he gets a chance to beat Freeman. Remember the Diamond Dogs from Metal Gear Solid 5? Well, what if Mitchell was Big Boss? Yeah, that's what this cutscene's recreating. It's the scene where Big Boss paints the soldier's ashes onto his face. It's that cutscene, but this time Big Boss just likes the feeling of ash on his skin. It's not an emotional moment, it's just a very weird kink. The slow motion in the scene is really trying to tell us that this is a big moment for Mitchell, for the narrative as a whole, really. But it's just more of the dev jerking himself off.
My men, for more than a decade we fought together. We bled, we took lives, and we lost some dear to us. We did what we had to survive. We knew no sin nor honor. Long ago, I knew this day would come. The day we would have to face a bigger threat.
Apparently, Freeman is a bigger threat than the interdimensional space army that is the Combine.
The day we would have to make a choice. Until this day, we have lived our lives freely, but there is a hard truth we must now face. Sooner or later, the Combine will drain the ocean completely, and there will no longer be any place for us to hide anymore. It is time to take action, time to pick a side. When kings fight for their thrones, they sacrifice the ones they deem unworthy. I am not a king, nor royalty. Today I stand with you as one of your own. I ask you, my brothers, to fight with me and show them who we are, what we are capable of, our strength and resolution, our bullets and our blades, our courage and our cruelty. Gentlemen, we are going to City 17.
I do love how Mitchell doesn't tell his men that they're going to become part of the Combine now. He just avoids that. Like, they don't even know why they're going to City 17. Like, they have literally no frame of reference to why they're going there. They just know that Daddy Mitchell declared it so. We jump onto a train in some random clearing that we have no context for, because yes, we jump from that cutscene to here. So, I guess we're really gonna do this, aren't we? We are really about to walk into an asset-flipped version of City 17, beat for beat the same map from the opening of Half-Life 2. The only real change is that it's worse in nearly every way. We don't get an introduction to the city from Breeny. We don't get to hear chitter-chatter between NPCs. We don't even get the famous pick up that can scene. We just get a shallow imitation of the game that Hunt Down the Freeman is trying so hard to imitate. And this wouldn't be so bad if this wasn't set in an exact replica, if not the exact same map as the Half-Life 2 opening. But let's ignore that. Let's focus on what Hunt Down the Freeman brings to the table. Well, we know we're here to get the Combine on our side, somehow. And I wasn't sure how we would do that, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we have to get their attention first. And we do that by, well, you'll see in a moment. Mitchell says to this random guy,
"There he is. I should give him the signal. Now it's your turn, Will."
And this guy that we call Will goes up the queue a little bit. So I followed him, because in my mind, he's going to distract the Combine so that I can get through. But, well...
Goodbye, old friend.
2233, can you confirm?
Yeah, he's a suicide bomber. Mitchell just killed off one of his followers because I legitimately don't know why. Mitchell even had the audacity to say goodbye, old friend, as he blew up. Like, it's another one of those, I mentioned it earlier, but death is how a beginner writer tries to pass off emotional moments. Like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who Will is. We have no context. So much like the captain, it's a cheap death that means nothing. But, hey, we're in City 17 now. So, I guess that's that. Let's get more of the Combine's attention. So we start out this next section with Mitchell declaring that I should
be more careful around here.
interesting, considering what the entire goal of this entire section is, plus our follower just did a suicide bombing at the City 17 main station, but whatever. We wander around, because once again, there's zero idea of what I'm doing until we hit this slightly differently textured edge, of which we can climb up and now we're inside a building, which gets us past the Combine checkpoint and lands us in between two more of them. We get pinged by a turret and now we're in a chase scene, I think. I think it was meant to be one. None of the Combine actually seem to care that we're here, despite the turret shooting at us just a moment before. And in the street over, we even witness a citizen being murdered, and Chad Mitchell doesn't seem to emote about it at all. We eventually find this random building and stumble into the middle of a Combine raid, but it would be hard to know that, as the man holding the door doesn't seem to be stressed by it. Neither is Mitchell, or the soundtrack, or anything. It's actually a very quaint little scene, honestly. And now, we're in a chase sequence. Finally, some blood-pumping excitement in my Half-Life game. We get a helicopter shooting at us. We even get what I can only assume is a callback to Thomas Anderson's office job in the first Matrix movie. It's kind of everything that Hunt Down the Freeman should have had by now. Like, it's a very decent attempt at a good sequence, to be honest. It needs music, it needs a tighter sense of direction, but it does ultimately work. My biggest complaint for this area is really just the last bit. You're being chased up and down an apartment block by Combine, and there's no way out. There's no weapons to fight back with, so eventually they will just catch you. And that's the point of this sequence. You're meant to be captured. It's a forced death. Which is somewhat confusing, because yet again, it does work. Like, it's a decent idea to do it, but it's so easy to hide from them and get away from them. So it feels like you're meant to, but you're not. You're meant to get hit. You're meant to get captured, which we alas, in the end we do.
Get your hands off me.
The Combine take us to the Citadel for some reason, because that's where the Combine take all their prisoners. Not Nova Prospect. The Citadel, the source of the Combine's power in City 17. Because, at this point I should just take whatever the game does as fact and canon. But it's cutscene time now.
I knew this day would come. I knew I was going to see this man one more time.
Boris.
I would argue that Mitchell shouldn't remember Boris after 17 years, but Mitchell also has an army of child soldiers, so maybe logic doesn't really apply anymore.
Mr. Mitchell.
It's been a long time, old friend.
It has been indeed. Normally, I would ask you to excuse my curiosity and question why you are here, why you show up after all those years while being far away from the eyes of the Combine. But I already know the answer. I know he sent you. Our mutual friend.
Wait, you know him?
Know him. He offered me a deal. And when I refused to complete his deal, he threatened me with my own daughter.
Oh yeah, a plot twist. Boris is in a position of power because of G-Man. And I bet no one in the audience saw that one coming.
Just be careful, Mitchell. He's a no-good, lying son of a bitch! Excuse my behavior.
The reason I came here was to offer my help. I want to collaborate.
And why do you think the Combine will agree to your help? What could one man possibly give them? Please, do not misunderstand me. I do not underestimate you. I know what you are capable of. But how will you prove that to them?
I'm not alone. I have a ship and an army. and I'm ready to hand over all of it to be placed under the Combine's command.
That is a rich offer indeed. Please, excuse me for a little while.
So Mitchell is going to give up everything he has and ever will known and has known and all that shit just so he has a chance to kill Freeman? I also want to point out just how stupid it is that Mitchell and Boris believe that the child soldier army is actually that good of a bargaining chip. I mean, let's be honest, it's at most 40 or so people. The Combine have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of civil protection grunts to throw at Freeman. What difference could a whole bunch of less capable and indeed less controllable grunts actually do? Probably nothing, but this game wants Mitchell to seem like a character that is sacrificing everything so that he has a chance to fight his past. A past that is now 20 years prior. And Freeman only occupied, at most, a few minutes of that past as well. You would think that the species that annihilated everything, that he ever knew, would be the bigger focus and threat to Mitchell. But no, it's this random fuck in a HEV suit. What, because he gave you scars, big boy? It's such a weird decision for the writers to make. Oh, and this bit here, this little section, we literally wait 40 seconds. That's the whole bit. We just wait for Boris to come back.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Mitchell. You know what they say. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
So that means we are hot on Gordon's tail.
Find Freeman.
We already know where he is hiding. You remember, my Sasha, my daughter. She's in the Resistance. As a spy, I will make sure that if she sees you, she will recognize you.
We also know we're going to get a strange cutscene with Boris's daughter Sasha down the line a little bit.
Whatever you do, do not, I repeat, do not harm her, or I will kill you.
Sounds like a deal. So you do know where Freeman is?
Correct.
Where is he?
Black Mesa East.
Huh. Black Mesa.
So yeah, we're joined up with the Combine now. We're part of the party that crashes Black Mesa East in Half-Life 2. And well, it's time to kill the only group left on the planet that is fighting against the Combine, all because of a silly grudge. So we, our child soldiers, and the Combine all charge into Black Mesa East, slaughtering the Resistance. For the most part, it's an easy fight. There is an early part where our first squad gets wiped out by a mounted gun, and we even get the ability to flank using this vent. It's a cool moment, and something that is so utterly unique in the game at this point. We even get to kill some Vortigons, and if you can remember, they can also wreck a car, so you better watch out. But, weirdly enough, they die super easily. So, it's very underwhelming, but in saying that, this is a combat-only sequence, and this is where the game shines. And, as a Half-Life fan, I really quite like the idea of playing as a Combine civil protection officer and storming Resistance outposts and whatnot. That could be cool. You could easily make that a semi-procedurally generated SWAT 4 mod or something. I don't know, it should be a thing if it's not already, but that isn't what this is. This is us fighting the golden boys and girls of the human race so that we can kill a guy that hit us a couple times because we shot at his friends. Because, also, this is a very fun fact here. This sequence for me was undercut with the sound of a model phasing in and out of the ground. It makes this noise that is present in every clip I got out of this level. So, sorry about that, you just have to deal with it. Later, we even get to see the lab where the game meets up in Half-Life 2, but the door that Gordon and Alex take is sadly broken, so we have to go around. But, regardless of cool moments, this whole section is just room after room after room full of enemies. It doesn't change or really do anything different. There's no puzzles or set pieces apart from that first bit. It's kind of disappointing that we don't get to see any of the actual characters from Half-Life 2. If I made this mod, I would have found a way to bring Dog back so Dog could show up and throw a barrow at us or something. But no, we don't even get a gravity gun, even if just for a brief puzzle section. It's wasted potential on nearly every level. I like combat. Don't get me wrong, I love a good shooter, as you can probably tell from my channel at this point. but combat gets old quickly when it doesn't have flair or flavour, which sadly Hunt Down the Freeman just doesn't. So surely you remember the genius that was the zombie sandbox of Ravenholm. Well, this isn't it, Chief. This is a large open chamber filled with zombies, no gravity gun, no puzzles, no environmental way to take out zombies, just a swamp. And endless hordes of fast zombies, much like that early game stage. And we even get a shotgun. It's, you know, a nice double barrel assortment, and does a lot of damage to everything. It looks nice, feels alright, and sounds okay. And you may notice from the background video that I'm not even trying to explore or kill anything. This is about the point where I mentally checked out and just wanted to finish the game. Because, well, there isn't anything to do in this area other than follow the poorly directed path. We get ferried through a couple buildings, we get some health, shotgun shells, and then we immediately get thrown into the not swamp. But instead, some sort of front garden for a large estate manor looking thing. Could even be a Colombian drug dealer's humble abode. God knows. Anything could happen in not Ravenholm. We enter through the basement door and we encounter this area's glaring problem. Hunt Down the Freeman doesn't have a flashlight, and pretty much all of this house is shrouded in darkness, so we can't see. And it's also full of zombies. We do get a flare though, just the one, so that'll help, but it doesn't fix the problem. And why does this bridge break when we just came from downstairs? It's just a fucking weird decision. This building though is at least laid out in a way that makes sense. It's not confusing to navigate, other than the lack of light of course. But that can be fixed with the flare, and by using the shotgun to also light the way by expending ammo. I did, sadly though, lose my flare under a table at one point, so it isn't a perfect, solution by any means. And in this same room, Mitchell also randomly just says stuff.
What the fuck? Alright, I admit it. This is a bit creepy.
So I think I missed something, or maybe this was the first room I was meant to go into, which doesn't make sense because you enter from the basement. Why would you enter the room on the opposite side of the room? It's so dumb. I also, as is very common in this game, have no idea what I'm meant to be doing. I gather that the idea is I'm meant to go into this house and then leave the house through the other side, but there's no back door. There's simply no way to progress, which is obvious. And this is more of a me issue, but I never noticed the rope that pulls down the attic door and ladder combo. I kind of just assumed this house didn't have an attic, which is kind of my fault, but also it's poorly directed, so I don't know, it's up to the audience I guess to, tell me which one that one is, but just be careful with the door, because the door will land on top of you and kill you. It's very common, it happened to me twice or maybe even 3 times, I don't know, but we kind of go upstairs and then we leave out through the back of the house, go across a bridge, which is a weirdly random, almost handmade bridge, and then we enter Father Gregorius' church graveyard, and we are hot on the heels of Freeman. We are mere seconds away from him. But using my mad gamer skills, I dodge through the horde of zombies and I make it to the exposed catacombs, which turn out just to be a sewer. We emerge onto the streets of City 17 and experience some okay game design. Our literal boys are pinned down by a mounted gun and we have to use our big brains to deduce that we can flank the gun. So we take it out, we run a lot actually. We even get to shoot a resistance fighter. I am also very sure that the way that Mitchell holds the revolver is the same way as Russian Ocelot from Metal Gear. And then we end up in a pit. So it turns out that pit was actually an antlion nest, so it's time to venture deep underground. Wait, do you hear that? It's Freeman! Finally, we're getting closer, but first we have to brave a few hundred antlions in yet another sequence that is from Half-Life 2. But this time it lacks any of the unique flair that Valve brought to the table. The caves that we're in don't feel impressive. They aren't abandoned mines or resistance underground highways, they just feel clean. For example, The floor is literally smooth. It should be rocky and uneven. We should be jumping over holes, but we're not. We should be crawling through tight passageways. We do that once, however. But we just get a corridor shooter where antlions pop up in front of us. A level set in some caves has the potential to both be epic in scale and tiny and filled with tension. It is a relatively easy idea to get right. If they just removed whatever the fuck we're walking on, this weird sand shit, this level would be much more engaging. But in saying that, I guess that they need it so the antlions can spawn from it. So why not just have sand pits like Half-Life 2 did? Like, it is a godsend that the antlions are not as beefy as human enemies, because we would not have enough ammo for this sequence. Especially considering we don't get refills at all, and we're still recovering from killing zombies for 10 minutes. Some ammo would have really been nice here. And that only gets worse when you consider we also have to kill an antlion queen as well. And to be fair, the queens are pushovers. They're slow and easy to trick. But I still could use more ammo. This is a Half-Life game, not Metro Last Light. This queen fight is strange because we also have the grubs all over the floor to heal us. So it's impossible to die here because of it. I also think that the queen's AI gets confused by them. It would seem like it would stop attacking mid-attack or mid-charge. And to make matters worse, because of the shortage of ammo, I literally have to knife it. And then after we're done with it, we have to use the parkour system to get out. But it glitches out on the last ledge, so I had to do like a triangle crouch jump to get out. If only the features listed on the Steam page actually worked in this game. But then again, to be fair, Hunt Down the Freeman does do the next bit right though. We do get some of that aforementioned epicness I wanted. A large open room with a combined drop pod thing. There's even some ammo, although I have noticed an overall problem with the game now. You don't know what ammo you pick up when you pick up ammo. There's no icons or HUD elements to tell you. This scene ends with us diving for like literally minutes. I thought it was a dead end, so I just kind of started to give up hope, but then it is where you're meant to go. It's just a weird decision yet again. I do like how every now and then we can tell that an actual level designer did some work. This little part here is actually pretty good. It looks good and it feels like Half-Life. While I'm not too big on the pipes or the shimmying, it's not a terrible way of navigating, and it does add something new to the Half-Life formula if it was done properly. And like, in this part here, the game also uses an exit sign to denote the wrong way to go. Surely that's just basic design principles, right? And they fuck that up. Like, my hope in this game... Like, my hope in this game is already so fucked. And then they fuck up these simple things. I'm losing any ounce of hope and respect I have for this game. And mind you, we are near the end. We are very close to the end at this point. And it does not get better. I've actually been wondering for the last little bit if Mitchell would ever actually go command his child soldiers in battle. And at this point it seems like no, that simply won't be happening because we're doing the highway from Half-Life 2. So yeah, welcome to Half-Life 2's Greatest Hits album. And as we know, we're not far off from the end now. I know it seems like we only just got started with the actual plot, but this is nearly the end. Somehow. So yeah. It's time to embrace the other cool as fuck character the director of this loves. It's Shadow the Hedgehog time, or the Terminator. It's unclear. Regardless, this sequence is the most different this game has been. It's actually changed on the formula somewhat. It's exciting, fresh, and it's tasty. And I cannot believe it is happening. It's time to ride or die, but my ride or die is Gordon Freeman. He doesn't want to ride. And by that I mean he's gonna die. That's what I mean. We have vehicles, a focus on combat, and decent level design. This is what the game should have been the entire time. Like, I'm not going to say that this sequence is super cool and rad, but it's exciting and it feels decent. The motorcycle, however, does have a turning radius larger than most 18-reelers, but it's nippy and it gets you where you need to go in record-breaking time. Plus it feels more original than just spawning in the buggy for a little bit. The game does forcibly take it away from you when you do the sick ramp straight into water, but don't stress. This game spawns bikes everywhere. Plus, we get to experience combat some more, but this time with a focus on range, not CQB. The rifle is really helpful here. It's an instant kill and it has a scope, which means finally weapons are being used for what those weapons are actually used for. The AI is, however, incredibly accurate at range though, which is very annoying, but you also have a rifle, so it does kind of even out. The shitty iron sights on the pulse rifle are once again a letdown though. But the thing is, I have enough ammo now that I don't really need to always hit, so I can just spam and it's fine. And this is for sure the best level in the entire game. It just works. It feels like a game that was made and tested, not a mod. It's quick and fun. The focus on combat is surely appreciated here by me. This game has actually had less combat than it probably should have. There's a lot of zombies and a lot of walking. In this section, we even get to break into a resistance base and do some tactical combat. It's refreshing. The prop placement in the house is a little weak, and the house is also way too big for what it is, but it does work. The house's biggest problem, however, is that we need to go into the basement to shut down an energy shield up ahead. But the chandelier that's meant to fall through the floor to break it doesn't fall no matter what you do. I shot it, I tried to blow it up, but I did decide ultimately to no-clip down there. I killed everyone down there, turned down the shield, and then when I came up, the chandelier broke. So I really don't know. And then the house gets besieged by resistance members. We have to fight our way out to our bike, and then we have to leave the level. And oddly enough, we spawn next to a bike. But didn't we just ride into this level with a bike? And yeah, of course we did. But it's because the devs obviously couldn't figure out how to start us off in the same vehicle we entered the level in. So they put like a backup bike instead in case like it didn't work. This level is also really weird. This level is ultimately just a really long drive. Nothing happens. We just drive to a level changer which leads us to another level which is the same as this one pretty much. These are really strange levels that don't make a lot of sense. I think in terms of like a meta reason, they're meant to be like a moment for like self-reflection. So, let's just do that. So, this game's terrible. It has some bad moments. Well, a lot of them really. But it also has some good moments, most of which just actually happened the last level. The narrative makes no sense, and it doesn't even really attempt to make sense. Which makes you wonder if it was meant to, or if it's the kind of writing that only made sense to the writer and no one else. Like it requires his memories and experiences to piece together like some sort of fucked up jigsaw piece. Like I don't understand it, and I think that's the case here. But I think that on an event by event level, the general plot outline is not that complicated or difficult to understand. I know that we want to kill Freeman because we have a grudge. That's all well and good. But the finer details get muddled because we don't really have a character to bounce dialogue off of. That's one of the reasons why Alex is so effective as a companion. She's constantly telling you new stuff. That new stuff might be somewhat useless to the actual narrative, but it's world building. We just don't get that here. Mitchell rarely emotes or communicates outside of cutscenes. So we are often left confused on motives and the who and why of the narrative's events. The Black Mesa East level, for example, was fucking weird. Not because of his gameplay, it was fairly simple in that regard, but Mitchell's motive for wanting to kill resistance fighters. It's never made clear why Mitchell believes that the resistance needs to go. Is it solely so he gets a chance at Freeman? Well, maybe. But does that really make any sense? Are we meant to feel sorry for Mitchell, or are we meant to hate him? Because I don't know. We spend so much of the game hearing him inspire others through what are effectively empty promises and even emptier words, but we see him doing it. And we don't get cutscenes of him killing kittens and stuff, right? Like on the surface, him rescuing the kids in the factory was good, and him trying to teach them to fight was good, but at the same time, he rescued kids so that he had an army. So that's an evil thing to do, right? But would it have been eviler to make them stay at the factory? I don't know, and I kind of doubt the writers knew either. It seems like these questions were never asked or were shot down in any meeting the crew had. The game is just really hard to understand. I think that Mitchell is meant to be cool. I think that's the point. I think that's the entire point of his character, is that he's meant to be cool, and that's it. But anyway, we have just had 2 stages with nothing to do but move forward. So let's have a third. We're now in Nova Prospect, and we're hot on the heels of Gordon and Alex. We walk for what seems like 10 minutes across featureless rooms with no signposting or just really general direction. We pass through a lot of corridors. But sadly, because this is like fucking Kingdom Hearts and we never actually get to see Disney characters, they trigger the teleporter before we get there. The place begins to collapse, and for some reason, a door a couple minutes back opens up. But you wouldn't know that unless you got confused like me and walked back and forth a lot. We drop into the sewers again, and we cut to a cutscene. So, for whatever reason, we're in prison now, despite us never seeing it happen. I guess Mitchell got fished at by a resistance fisherman and thrown in jail. Like, why not, I guess. Sasha shows up. Her model is clearly the worst in the entire game by far. Her hair looks more like bread than it does anything else.
Who is that?
It's me, Sasha.
Sasha.
I'll get you out of here. I unlocked the door, but you have to wait a few minutes. Then start making your way to the monitor room. I'll be there waiting for you.
Okay, I guess it's clear. Let's go. This is a stealth section, so we still have no idea where to go. We just know that the room has monitors in it. Sure. So much like the Spotlight puzzle 17 years back, this has a lot of problems. The enemies spot you seemingly at random, but we also don't take one hit and die. You can brute force this just by running through them. It is a much better experience that way, trust me. But that doesn't mean that this approach also doesn't have problems. This large open cafeteria does not have an exit, until you notice this bit of fence that has fallen over. That brings us to an event, that brings us to another cutscene.
The legendary captain himself.
Stop it. You're making me blush.
After all those years, I get to see you again.
I have to admit, I'm surprised you even remembered me. You were pretty young back then.
Sure I was, but I have a good memory. I remember everything. And I remember you saving those children. I always saw you as a hero after that day.
Poor Sasha makes the very bad choice of sparking Mitchell's enormous ego. This makes the poor lad feel bad about himself, so he starts talking about how bad he is. Which I guess clears up my point from 5 minutes ago, doesn't it?
Hero? You're talking to a villain, my dear. The hero inside of me died many, many years ago when I was young.
Mitchell self-IDs as a villain, which is pretty funny. Sasha says a line that might as well define Mitchell's entire character at this point.
Isn't every villain a hero in their own story?
Not in this one.
If you say so.
Back in Alaska, after the factory, what happened?
Me and my father got out of the factory. We were running away. The explosions were everywhere. The whole place caught fire. My father was carrying me. He was struggling to get us out of there. And we managed to get out, but after that we weren't so lucky. We were walking in the middle of nowhere for days. I could feel my father was afraid and hopeless. The moment we thought we were going to die, help arrived. And that's where it gets all blurry in my mind. The help. It didn't really look like any combine. There was just a man in a suit.
Yeah, the twist is Mitchell's entire life from Black Mesa now has been a result of G-Man fucking with him. It's a weird twist, as it portrays G-Man as a trickster and a savvy investor.
A man in a suit?
Yes, a man in a suit.
Sasha, are you sure that wasn't your father? He was also wearing a suit that day.
He actually wasn't. He was wearing a sweater vest. But sure, whatever. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, or whatever.
No, it wasn't him. I'm sure it was someone else. A man with a briefcase.
What did the man say, Sasha? What did he say?
He was talking about some kind of deal?
What deal? Sasha, what deal?
I think I remember the deal. He had to help me.
Aw, fuck, I was actually interested in that. But thanks, Adam.
Mitchell,
also, remember how I said he was the most important character in Half-Life history? That's about to be explained.
Mitchell, run.
But that's after we do a cheery little run for enemy fire. It's actually really goofy how short this section is.
What the hell are you doing?
Keeping my promise.
Adam, open this goddamn door right now.
Do you remember the first time we met?
God damn it, Adam, just shut your damn mouth and open the door. That's an order.
Listen, Mitchell. The whole place is about to blow up.
Adam, please. You don't have to do this for Freeman.
Freeman? Are you really that stupid? This was never about Freeman, Mitchell. This is just part of the deal.
What deal? What the hell are you talking about?
Follow the tunnel, Mitchell. He's waiting for you on the other side.
What? Who are you? No. Not you.
That was part of the deal. Go now. It's time.
It turns out Adam was in on the deal as well. But what has Adam done so far to fulfill his end of it? Well, we need to go meet with G-Man outside first.
Mr. Mitchell, at last. You've done a great deal in a small time.
Cut the bullshit. You liar. You used me.
Let me correct you, Mr. Mitchell. We used each other. Your services were so very useful, and we had a good return for our investments.
You lied to me. You said I was going to hunt him down. You said I was going to kill him. You just let my men die. You caused all this. You did all of this. You bastard.
This bit here highlights more about Mitchell's character than anything else. He's blaming G-Man for killing his men, despite the fact that his plan to sell them to the Combine was his plan. The G-Man didn't tell him to do that. The G-Man just told him where Gordon was.
Well, technically, we were not the one who'd been lying. We asked you to kill Mr. Freeman. We never guaranteed that you would. But liar? No. If there was a liar, it was the one who was always next to you.
Adam, you made him betray me.
Yet again, Mr. Mitchell, he never betrayed. You simply cannot betray someone if you are never on their side, in the first place.
What are you talking about?
If you are looking for the truth, you only have to look at where this all started. Black Mesa.
Yeah, that's why Adam's the most important character in Half-Life lore. It's a lot. The game is just going to play it again so that you get it. Like, it's not obvious or something. But this time it's from Freeman's perspective. Yeah, Adam is the only reason that Freeman has ever lived this long to do the shit he did in Half-Life 2.
All this time, the man I was looking for wasn't Gordon Freeman. He doesn't even know that I exist. So, what now?
Now, since Sasha is dead, the Combine will be looking for you. They will separate their forces from City 17 and come for you. And that will create Mr. Freeman an easier path.
He enabled Mitchell to serve as a distraction for the Combine so that Freeman could do all of Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2. Adam is the only reason Freeman lived. This is next level fan fiction shit. A self-insert character that is more important than the franchise's Golden Boy. It is just so fucking funny that the writer thought that this was the best thing they could do, that this needed to be in the game. And like, I see what they're going for. I understand they wanted Mitchell to be like this galactic tier underdog, right? I get it. That his whole life was like in service of this one moment so that someone else could live and get the glory. But in Half-Life 2, we never needed to know this. It underplays Half-Life 2 in a serious way. But that doesn't matter because fucking emo boy Adam is now important. Christ. The only thing they really changed to make this work as well was G-Man. Instead of being like an interdimensional time cop, he's this weird Joker character. He just wants to make people's lives hell, and he does it by misleading them. So, like, and this is weird as well, because Mitchell is also the brother of Adrian Shepard, right, from Opposing Force. So, it's just another thing that, like, is G-Man just going around poaching people's siblings? Like, yes, come with me. I will make your life hell as well. Like, I just don't get it. G-Man's entire plan depends on random events happening. What if Mitchell didn't rescue the kids from the factory? What if Sasha told him the deal? What if Adam hit him a little bit too hard of a crowbar? What if Adam accidentally revealed the master plan? And also, why was Adam so fucking willing to dedicate his entire life to this? Like, I don't understand why G-Man was changed to be like a supervillain. This also shouldn't change how Mitchell feels about Gordon, but it does. He still killed all of your soldier buddies. That still happened. Or is it just because Mitchell got beaten by someone? Like, did Daddy Mitchell get his ass handed to him and now he's upset and wants to go fuck him up? Like, what the fuck is happening in this narrative? Who the fuck is in the right? What even are the motives anymore? Like, I just don't understand what they were trying to do here. It is not subversive. It's not even good. It's just boring and plagued with problem after problem. And we're not even done.
And since our agreement is finished, you have our permission to die. Farewell, Mr. Mitchell.
We are nearly done, but fuck, we've still got some shit to shift through, so get your shovels, lad, because G-Man just gave us permission to die.
Wait. What if I make it out alive? In one piece?
And Mitchell wants to strike a new deal, because that's a good idea. I love G-Man's little shit-eating grin here. He's just so bewildered by the absolute state of this lad. Like, I just fucked this man's life up, and he came back for more. The fuck is wrong with this cunt? Jesus. So we're now in the second last level, and this level is literally just running for like a minute, so we're just going to skip it. So I am going to be definitely blunt here. This level is quite literally 15 minutes long. And you don't even have to do anything if you choose to. Enemies spawn from across the way and rush at you. But the thing is, they only use the left-hand side, and you get given turrets. If you set them up right, you can just go watch TV or something, and just set a timer and come back. It is simple, it is laughable, and it is fucking funny. This game has heaps of problems, right? But they're all underpinned by the core problem that is a lack of direction. This game can never decide if you should run or fight. It never tells you where you should go or what you should do. And the more infuriating part is, this game is fully playable now. It's just the game is so bad. Like, sure, you have to no-clip a couple times. You might still get stuck on the floor. But at least it's playable. The plot, makes no sense. We have characters pulled from fifth graders' fucking notepad. We have weapons that, while they feel okay, don't really fit a purpose. We have like fucking direction that lacks cues. We don't have audio cues, visual clues. We can't even rely on our own knowledge of the medium because normal knowledge of video games doesn't apply here. The lack of motivation for both the core character and us is also a massive fucking problem. It is just so shit that this is a Half-Life mod that was billed as being the ultimate experience for a Half-Life fan, but they kind of just ignore the foundations of Half-Life. They instead trip over it and like build this fucking hastily drawn plan in fucking crayon on a fucking wall. But let's return to the game again. We call Nick, who tells us that everyone thought we were dead. And Adam is back and he's telling everyone that we died. So we tell Nick the truth. Turns out after Sasha died, the Combine turned on us and started hunting us down instead. Just like the G-Man said. So Nick is going to send a helicopter to come get us or something. But it will be literally 15 minutes. And maybe he's taking his time because the last time we spoke to him, he accused us of using our child soldiers as child soldiers. Maybe. Who the fuck knows? And also, this 15 minutes does not speed up. Right? It's not like it's 15 minutes, but it's actually like 7.5. It does not move like a 2-to-1 scale. It is actually 15 minutes long. It is so fucking long. It is the longest level in the entire game. It's also the easiest. If you can set up turrets and shoot down this one walkway, you will win. It is fucked. It is such a weak finale. It is the same wave of enemies over and over and over and over and over again for, yeah, I know, 15 minutes. It just keeps going. So let's just fucking skip this and go right to the last cutscene in the game, okay? Fuck it. So I'm just gonna let this play out. I think you need to experience it in full. Plus, I think both you and I have earned this.
Nick! Where the hell were you? Impossible.
Adam!
Mitch, look. Mitch, please. Mitchell, look, I can explain.
You lied to me.
No, that wasn't the deal. He told me. Mitch, please.
You betrayed me. You used me. You fucked up my face. And now...
Mitch, please. I can explain.
You have my permission to die.
Ready for your orders, Captain.
Turn the ship. We're going to Borealis.
So, yeah. That was Hunt Down the Freeman. Sorry, I mean Half-Life 3. This game is really hard to like. It's cheesy, it's shit. But the cinematics are fun and quirky. But then you have to walk for 10 minutes in the frozen valley just so you can climb some pipes. This is a fan game for a series that is responsible for 2 massive switch-ups in the first-person shooter market. And this is what they call the ultimate experience. Lots of ambition, but no direction or drive to make the game good. And I can see what they wanted to do. Each level is them trying to expand the content of Half-Life 2. But they do so with no real understanding of basic design principles, so it just all falls apart. There is no trace of Half-Life 2 in this game other than surface level details, and I guess the general background of the plot. It is just sad. And I hope the sequel is better, because yeah, this is apparently getting a sequel. God help us all. But if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. This video took way too long to make, and I will appreciate their support. Thanks for watching.